The grand lobby of the towering glass skyscraper hummed with the constant rhythm of business, heels clicking across marble floors, the low murmur of executives speaking into headsets, the quiet rush of assistants balancing stacks of files. It was the kind of place where every second meant money, where every heartbeat measured profit, and where no one had time to pause, not even to breathe. In the middle of that steel and stone jungle stood Alexander Hayes, the youngest CEO in the history of Hayes Enterprises, a man whose name echoed through boardrooms and business magazines, a man who had earned a reputation for being brilliant, ruthless, and utterly untouchable. His sharp gray suit was tailored to perfection, his stride confident, his mind already calculating the billions his next merger would bring. But on that particular morning, fate had different plans for him. As he crossed the lobby, glancing at his watch and preparing mentally for a crucial investor meeting, his path was suddenly blocked by a tiny figure, no taller than his waist. He almost didn't notice her at first. She stood so still, clutching something in her little hands, her pink backpack slipping slightly from her shoulder, her cream dress embroidered with delicate flowers swaying gently as she shifted nervously from foot to foot. Her big eyes, filled with hesitation, lifted up to meet his, and in the softest, most fragile voice he had ever heard, she whispered, "Can you read this for me?" "It's important." Alexander froze, one brow raised, more confused than he had ever been in his meticulously ordered life. No one ever approached him without appointments, without layers of secretaries and assistants guarding his time. And yet, here was this child, alone, asking him, a man who had little patience for distractions, to stop everything and read. For a moment, he considered brushing past her, offering a curt apology, maybe signaling security. But something in her trembling voice, something in the way her tiny hands clutched the worn leather book she held out to him, rooted him to the spot. Against his own better judgment, he crouched down, meeting her at eye level. "What is this?" he asked gently, his tone softening in a way that surprised even him. The girl's small fingers loosened slightly as she held out the book. "It's my mother's diary," she said, her voice quivering as though the words themselves carried weight she wasn't sure she could bear. "I can't read all the big words, but she said it's important. Will you read it for me?" Alexander's breath caught in his throat. A mother's diary. Important words. The CEO's life had been carefully built around walls of control, discipline, and emotional detachment. He hadn't allowed himself to feel much in years. Emotions, after all, were distractions in business. But the sight of this little girl offering him a diary with such desperate hope stirred something deep within him, something he thought had long ago withered away. He took the diary slowly, its leather cover cracked with age, the pages filled with neat, delicate handwriting. The scent of faded ink and pressed flowers lingered faintly. He glanced back at the girl. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lila," she replied softly. "And your mother?" For a moment, her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and then she whispered, "She's gone." Alexander felt his chest tighten. The busy lobby around them seemed to fade, the noise muffled, the rushing figures nothing more than shadows. In that instant, it was just him and this little girl with eyes too sad for her age, a diary too heavy for her small hands, and a request that would unknowingly change the course of his entire life. He swallowed hard, opening the diary to the first page, where a simple line was written in graceful handwriting, "For my daughter, Lila. If you ever feel alone, remember that my words will always find you." The letters blurred for a second as Alexander blinked, feeling an unfamiliar sting in his eyes. He cleared his throat and began to read, his deep voice carrying the words through the sterile corporate air, transforming the lobby into something sacred. As he read aloud about a mother's love, her hopes, her struggles, her dreams for her child, something unexplainable began to unravel inside him. He had spent years chasing success, drowning in deals, suffocating in boardrooms, never stopping to think of love, family, or what truly mattered. But now, through the fragile trust of a little girl and the echo of a mother's heart in ink, the fortress around his soul began to crack. People passed by, slowing down as they caught sight of the powerful CEO kneeling before a little girl, reading with a tenderness no one had ever seen from him before. Whispers spread quickly, but Alexander didn't care. For the first time in years, he wasn't Alexander Hayes, the billionaire, the CEO, the legend. He was just a man, holding a diary, giving comfort to a child who had lost everything. And in that moment, he realized that perhaps he had lost something too, long ago, without even knowing it. The chapter of his life that had been defined by profit and power was about to collide with something far greater. And little did he know, the words in that diary would not only heal a little girl's broken heart but also awaken a part of him he thought was dead forever. And if you're already feeling touched by this moment, make sure you subscribe to our channel, because stories like this remind us that even in the busiest, coldest places, love can find its way in and change everything.